The first read on the number is, given the weakness in hotels and restaurants and bars, that the print sort of reflects a period last month when things were closing and that we're already back to a reopening phase. Is the number stale?
I don't think so. I think today's jobs report shows that the U.S. job creation machine stalled over the past few months, and this underscores the urgent need for the president's American Rescue Plan. 49,000 jobs is far too low, but if you look at the private sector, it's only 6,000 in January. That's essentially zero. When you factor in the negative revisions, which are important, and about 160,000, that's a negative, over the past 3 months, payroll job gains have been 29,000. Now, back that up to the prior 3 months, it was over 1 million. That is a massive downshift in job gains, and it just shows you the extent to which the air pocket has really significantly dampened the employment creation function. And so the necessity, the urgency, the steep costs of inaction around the American Rescue Plan are very much, I think, amplified by this jobs report.
Does the argument for more stimulus, or at least a high number on the stimulus package, Jared, get more complicated when you've got the savings rate in double digits, ISM services 2-year high, a return to job growth, tepid though it may be?
Yeah, that's a very important and a fair question. The reason why the answer is that none of those statistics push anywhere near against the urgency of the plan is because we are deeply into a K-shaped recovery. You know, we can talk about GDP, we can talk about the stock market, but we also need to talk about rising poverty. We need to talk about 24 million people facing hunger, evictions, foreclosures. You know, there are still, even with the unemployment rate today, there are still 10 million people unemployed. Black and Hispanic unemployment rates are highly elevated, around 9%. 40%, this is a very high number, of the 10 million unemployed are long-term unemployed persons. That means they're stuck in joblessness for at least 6 months. So if you look at the people who are suffering the brunt of the virus and its economic impact, it's folks on the bottom leg of the K, the folks who are targeted by this American Rescue Plan.
All right, Jared, this is what's so disturbing to me. So many people got money who have jobs. So many people got money who, frankly, are doing well. And then the people who aren't got the same amount of money. Isn't it time to recognize, just as you just talked about with the K economy, let's flood the zone of people who aren't doing well. Let's flood the zone of minority businesses that have been hurt more than businesses for people who actually we know are doing better. Why can't we just make it so that the people who need it get the money and the rest of the people just continue to lead their lives?
Yeah, so first of all, let me underscore, elevate, and amplify one thing you just talked about, minority businesses. We know for a fact that persons of color, entrepreneurs of color, communities of color were tremendously underserved by the business relief, the Paycheck Act. Now, the president, when he was campaigning, was always leading with this point when he talked to us on the phone about the problems that were ongoing. And so in the American Rescue Plan, the business relief is acutely targeted at businesses of persons of color. So that I think is a real advance. On your other point, again, if you listen to President Biden, he does talk about people who are in the middle class who are struggling, and he is 100% correct about that. You can still have a job, but you've lost hours, you've lost wages, you haven't been able necessarily to make your rent. You might be in mortgage forbearance, which means at the end of this period, you're going to be faced with a big bill. So I think some of these elevated savings rates among middle-class families who often have zero or negative saving rates, to me, that's a feature, not a bug.
All right, so, Jared, let's talk about certain industries that have been decimated. The restaurant industry has been decimated. The people going out, travel. Is there anything more that should be done there? Can we make it so that there are grants, maybe new you have such great small business people in the administration, where there can be applications targeted to be able to say, you know what, when we're vaccinated, we want to reopen. Could you give us a no-interest loan, a low-interest loan? Get people back in the cities. Because, again, the minority businesses were the ones that were struggling, and they were doing great, and then they just got crushed, and we got to reopen them.
You are so right about this. And, you know, even with low borrowing rates, there are many businesses for whom a grant just makes tons of sense, and a loan is a very heavy lift. So I share that. And in the American Rescue Plan, trust me, we dig deep into precisely that problem. I think what all of this does, and today's jobs report is just, I think, such a powerful data point in this argument. It just underscores the cost of inaction. I mean, when you're adding 29,000 jobs a month on average over the past 3 months, that is a labor market stall. We have in the wings a plan that can finally get American businesses and families to the other side of this crisis and finally control the virus and distribute the vaccine to launch a robust recovery, one that's inclusively and racially equitable in precisely the way, Jim, you're calling for. So this report underscores the urgency of the American Rescue Plan.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.